Hello, everybody, and welcome to Three Things Thursday. I hope all of you had a good year, a good New Year's break. And so welcome. I have Wanda with me today. She is also one of our coordinators, and thank you so much, Wanda. And she actually works in the Brunswick area. So any of you from Southeast Georgia, she is the point person. She has a lot of experience, and so definitely contact her if you have any questions or information or things that you need. But again, welcome to our Three Things Thursday. And in January this month, we're going to talk about transition to adult healthcare. So the last couple of months, we focused on IEPs, and now we're moving on to transition to adult healthcare. So let me share my screen and share the PowerPoint, and we will go from there. All right, so today we're talking about transition to adult healthcare. We're going to talk about what is health transition. We're going to talk about what does health have to do with transition. You know, we've heard about these word transition, but what does health have to do with it? And then, of course, we're going to talk about why is this important? Why do we need to know? So before we move on to those three things, as usual, I have two resources to share. So I'm going to actually show you the resources. There are two websites. One is our website, the Parent to Parent of Georgia website, where we have a roadmap to success. And let me share that so that you can see what I'm talking about. And we have a whole page on transition, and it's really, on health transition. So this is the page, and I would highly encourage you to go over there because it has all these different links. It talks about what is health transition. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today is covered here. It has all these neat worksheets. It also has a video that you can watch. The other site that, that I mentioned in my resources is a site called Got Transition. And this is everything that you would want to know about health transition. It is really awesome website with tons and tons of resources and information. What I really like about this is there's a little quiz that you can take. So as a young adult, so if you have a young adult 12 and above, they can take this quiz, or as a parent, you can take this quiz because, one of the big things is like, where do I start? What is this? And it's so overwhelming and so daunting. So if you take this quiz, it kind of gives you an idea as to where you can start and what your initial steps can be. What are some areas that you can start building on? So these two websites are, I would definitely say go check them out. It has chock full of information about health transition. So, all right, so let's go back to our PowerPoint, and so let's talk a little bit about what is health transition. My PowerPoint to move. There you go. So, we've heard, before we talk about health transition particularly, I would just want to, talk about all the different types of transition to adulthood. We're talking mainly about transition to adulthood. There's health transition, there's education transition. What education means, and many of you who have children who have individualized education plans, you've heard about the transition plan that goes with that. And it's talking about either your child is either moving to post-secondary or, they're moving to some other higher education or vocational training, so that's the type of educational transition that we're talking about. Or your child is moving into employment after they graduate high school, and then some of the legal rights and responsibilities that come with transition. Once your child is 18, they are deemed to be an adult in Georgia. And so, along with their rights come some responsibilities. And so, those are some things that are also involved. And then independent living, that's a big part of transition, whether your child is going to move away and live in a college dorm, or whether your child is going to move away and live in an apartment or get a job, or they're going to live in, with support in a group home, or whatever be that transition to independent living. So those are the different transitions to adulthood. Transition to adulthood involves all these different areas. But today, and this whole month of January, we're going to talk about transition to adult healthcare. So what does that mean exactly? basically it's moving from pediatric to adult healthcare. And then it means moving from dependence on family to independence. And so there are so many things that we need to think about. And like I said, it can be pretty daunting because there's so many different aspects to health transition. And it's you're like, where do I start? So I would highly encourage you to watch this entire series. As we go through, we will kind of divide this up into little pieces, so you will be able to kind of chew off and kind of make a list for yourself as to what your next steps might be. So that being said, I am going to hand it over to Wanda, who's going to talk to us about what does health have to do with transition. Wanda.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I hope everybody had a good vacation. So health has everything to do with transition. Having a plan, this is going to help break down tasks, and it's going to help you get organized. Like, I'm going to give you an example of the case with my son. Antonio is 20 years old. He has Down syndrome. He has ADHD, bipolar disorder, impulsive behavioral disorder. So he sees a variety of doctors, and they're all pediatric right now. He has his cardiac pediatrician as well. So you want to have a plan in place because his health depends on all of these medications and these doctors that he is seeing right now. So if he forgets to take his medication, this is going to jeopardize his goals for, learning in the future, working, living safely and independently in the community. So basically, all of this affects his outcome for moving forward. If he doesn't have a plan in place, then he can regress and slow down, and things just can get move at a slow pace, and he could lose some services and needs that he has. So having a plan in place to get him to take his medications and know when to take his medications as well, and being able to have that is a very important thing. Having a plan in place will also reduce the possibility of him being left with no care at all. So like I said, he is 19 and he still sees his pediatric, general pediatric, he sees his pediatric cardiologist to manage all of these things. So when he turns 21, he may not be able to continue seeing these doctors because he is going to be considered an adult. And a pediatrician won't be able to meet his needs at that age, or insurance might not cover it because they are now legally adults. So as parents, guardians, along with his doctors, we have to have a plan for his transition, because if not, then he may be left without the doctor. And the outcome of this would be not being able to get his medicine because he won't have the doctor to continue prescribing them for him. And without his medications, he's at risk of, having his cholesterol crazier than it is now, or his mood swings get out of hand. So a plan to teach him skills like how to take his medication, when to take his medication, to know when it's time to get a refill, will all help him with his independence and with his ability to manage his own health care. So having this plan in place is very critical in making the transition smoother. So as you can see, the importance of a plan, you can break it down. Breaking it down, it will help you prioritize what needs to be done immediately, as well as keeping a timeline and being able to check things off your to-do list. It's also going to break down your tasks and help you get organized, as well as reducing that possibility of him being left with no care at all. Because you know, you have to remember at 21, they are considered adults. They are no longer able to see pediatric doctors. So if they're on any medication, they're not going to have a plan, or they're not going to be able to get the prescriptions renewed. Teaching them these skills that they need, you know, such as, like I mentioned before, taking their medication, knowing which ones to take, when to take them, is going to give them that independence and the ability to manage their own care. And remember that healthcare transition is not just getting, you know, providers that will treat adults, but it also means that your child is going to become more knowledgeable about their own health care, about being more responsible with their health task, and about making good health choices on their own with little or no support. All this is going to lead to a better health as an adult. So just remember, start ahead. I'm in the process right now because he turns 21 in May. So I'm in the process of getting him, because it is a process. So remember to do it with time so that you don't get left behind in the end and be like, okay, he's 21. Now what am I going to do? So having that plan is very, very important. So if you have any questions, concerns, or if you want any more information, please remember, we are here. We are here to assist you and to guide you in the right direction. So please reach out to us, give us a call, reach out to us on Facebook, email us. There's many ways that you can contact us. We are here. Use us.
Awesome. Excellent, Wanda. That was great. Yeah, as Wanda said, you know, like health transition is so critical. Everything else stops if you're not healthy. You know, so, you know, whether it is you're going to the job training, or whether you are going to college, or whether you're even just getting up in your day and going to a day program or doing something activities, you can't do any of that if you're not healthy. And so I think we always forget, I mean, or we don't pay as much, sometimes we don't pay as much attention to that health piece while we're focusing a lot on the education piece. Both are important. Kind of in my mind, health kind of trumps the education, because if you don't have the health, then you can't get the education. So thank you, Wanda, for sharing that and sharing your story, because I think that's what makes it real. All of us, I also have a 20-year-old, so I'm right in that, a 19-year-old, and I'm right in that throes of transition at this point. So
yeah, I'm right there. I'm a couple of months. I only have months left.
So as we said, this entire month, we're going to talk about healthcare transitions. So join us again next week as we talk about, we go a little more detail into a healthcare transition plan. So we'll talk a little more about that and check out the resources that we have. So thanks everybody for joining us today. And if you have suggestions for topics, we are more than happy to add more topics. So thank you.
Thank you.